There is a kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, it feels full, full of lessons, full of power, full of unspoken truths. That silence is the space between being wanted and being chosen, and if you've ever sat in that space, wondering why you're always the almost, the maybe, the not no, then this is for you. Because today a broken bar we stop waiting. Today, you learn how to become the one they'll always choose you, not out of pity, not out of desperation, but because your presence is power, your standards are sacred, and your value is undeniable. Let's begin not with advice, but with a story, because sometimes a single story can cut deeper than 1,000 words ever could. There once was a woman named Layla who lived in a quiet coastal town. Everyone knew her for her kindness, her ability to listen, and the way she made people feel safe. She wasn't flashy, didn't chase attention, and never begged for love. She simply a broken bar was, and yet, she was always overlooked. People came to her when they were broken. They leaned on her like a warm fire in winter, only to leave when the storm passed. She loved deeply but was rarely loved back with the same depth. One day, after another person she held close walked away, she sat by the sea and asked aloud, "What makes someone truly worth choosing?" An old fisherman nearby overheard her and replied, "A lamp doesn't beg the darkness to value its light, it just keeps burning. And when the storm comes, the wise don't run to the fire they ignored, they return to the one that never flickered." Those words changed her. She stopped being available for those who only came in crisis. She stopped trying to be enough for those who never saw her worth. She didn't grow cold as she grew steady, still kind, still warm, but no longer afraid to let people walk away. And strangely, something beautiful happened. People stopped walking away. They started staying, not because she chased Amy but because she finally chose herself first. That is how you become the one they'll always choose. You stop chasing attention and start commanding it by who you become. People often spend their entire lives trying to prove their worth choosing. They overgive, they over-explain, they abandon their boundaries in exchange for breadcrumbs of affection. But the truth is brutal and liberating. The more you try to prove your worth, the more you imply that it's in question. The moment you stop performing for validation is the moment you start attracting real connection. Want to be the one they choose? Don't flood their phone with messages trying to show how much you care. Live a life that makes them pause, watch, and whisper to themselves, "There's something different about this one." Become so centered in your value that silence is more powerful than words. Because when your absence speaks louder than your presence, use to a broken bar they'll remember. When you raise your standards, you don't just repel the wrong people, you attract the right ones. Think of your standards as a filter. Not everyone can pass through, and that's exactly how it should be. Your time is not cheap. Your heart is not a playground. Your soul is not for rent. People will always test you. They'll try to see what they can get away with, not because they're evil, but because they're human. The one they'll always choose isn't the one who always says yes. It's the one who says no without fear, without guilt, and without explanation. Because that kind of self-respect is rare and unforgettable. Most people react, few respond. The difference, one is driven by impulse, the other, by intention. To be unforgettable, become emotionally grounded. Be the one who doesn't flinch when others lash out. Be the one who doesn't beg when things go silent. Be the one who can sit in discomfort without losing their center. Emotional mastery isn't about being numb. It's about being unshakable. Imagine this. Everyone's panicking. You're calm. Everyone's gossiping. You're focused. Everyone's doubting. You're steady. Who do you think they'll remember? Here's the paradox. The more complete your life is without someone, the more likely they are to want to be part of it. People are drawn to strength, purpose, and peace, not neediness. Want to be the one they choose? Stop waiting for them to validate you. Build a life that makes you proud, with or without anyone standing beside you. Fill your days with purpose. Train your body. Sharpen your mind. Heal your wounds. Serve something greater than yourself. And then watch. Watch how the people who once ignored you begin to orbit around you, because your light no longer flickers. It blazes. You don't need to explain your transformation. Let them feel it. When you start pulling back from toxic energy, don't write essays. Just vanish. When they test your boundaries, don't argue. Just enforce them. Silence, action, presence. That's the language of the chosen one. When you walk with quiet strength, People listen more. When you speak with intention, your words carry more weight. When you no longer fear solitude, you become magnetic. Remember, the most powerful person in the room is rarely the loudest. It's the one who knows they can walk away and mean it. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. You are not cold for refusing to entertain inconsistency. You are not arrogant for recognizing your worth. You are awake. People are used to taking. They're used to others sacrificing themselves for approval. But when they meet someone who finally chooses themselves without guilt, it shocks their system. That shock, it's respect being born. Because once you choose yourself a broken bar, you stop accepting half love. You stop being afraid of being alone. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never built for you. And that, ironically, is when you become the one they chase. You can dress the part, speak the part, even act the part. But to be the one they'll always choose, you must become valuable in the ways that truly matter. Not in beauty, not in charm, but in depth. Be the one who listens deeply, loves intelligently, responds wisely, acts decisively. Be the one who adds peace to chaos, clarity to confusion, meaning to silence. Because when you can be the anchor in a world of waves as a broken bar, you're not just another option. You're the harbor they return to. The moment you need to be chosen, you've already lost your power. Detachment isn't about indifference, it's about focus. When you do the inner work, raise your standards, and move with peace, you let go of needing anyone's approval. And in that space of detachment, you become irresistible. Because detachment signals self-sufficiency. It shows you're whole. It says, I want you, but I don't need you. And that balance, that's the sweet spot where magic happens. If you're loyal to people who disrespect you, you teach them that disrespect is acceptable. If you're loyal to your values, your peace, your future, you teach the world how to treat you. People follow strength, even if they test it first. They stay where they feel safe, even if they don't understand it right away. Be loyal to your boundaries, even when it's lonely. Be loyal to your healing, even when it's hard. Be loyal to your peace, even when chaos tempts you. That loyalty, your broken bar, it echoes, and they hear it. Sometimes, the only way to be the one they choose a broken bar is to walk away first. Not to punish them, but to protect yourself. When people take you for granted, it's not your job to teach them. It's your job to show them through absence, through elevation, through silence. Leave with grace, heal in private, evolve in peace, and trust this: one day, they'll look around at the noise, the chaos, the fleeting distractions, and they'll remember you. They'll remember the calm in your voice, the way you held space, the way you stood your ground without raising your voice. And they'll realize a broken bar, they lost someone rare. But by then, you'll have become someone too strong to return to what broke you. Becoming the one they always choose isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about becoming the version of yourself that you would choose, even if no one else does. You don't win people by needing them. You win by not needing and still choosing with wisdom. You become the one they choose, not because you fought for a place in their life, but because you built a life so whole, so radiant, so grounded that choosing you becomes the only sane choice. So stop waiting. Stop hoping they'll see your worth. Become someone who no longer needs to be chosen, because you already did that yourself. And that a broken bar is where the real power begins.